Hello students, today I am going to start a new series, instrument in OSPI series. This is the airway and you can see different sizes of airways. The smallest is pink and largest is orange in color. And then in order to decide that which airway should be used in which patient, we measure distance on the outside of the face of the patient from angle of the mouth to earlobe, and the airway that covers this distance, it should be used in the patient roughly. Here is a picture where you can see that the distance between angle of mouth and to the earlobe, it is roughly equal to that of orange airway's length. So we will use this airway in this patient. How will we use this airway in the patient? We will insert this airway straight in the mouth in such a way that concavity of the airway, it faces towards palate, and once it is half inside, we rotate it in the other direction so that now convexity faces towards palate. So this is the picture where airway is present in the patient's mouth, and you can see convexity is facing towards palate. So airway, it is basically used to keep airway open. It prevents tongue from falling backward and keeping airway patent. Then this is ophthalmoscope, which is used to see fundus or the retina of the patient. And you can see here that one side is the side which is used by doctor, and other side is kept towards patient eye. And you can see here is different parts of the ophthalmoscope. Then there is on and off button, and this on and off, it helps us to produce light from ophthalmoscope, and through this light we're able to see inside the patient's eye on the retina. And the procedure how we do ophthalmoscopy is we ask the patient to look at some distant object, and then after switching on the light we come closer to the eye of the patient, and we come so much close that we are able to appreciate any blood vessel on the fundus. Then we trace it till optic disc, and this is how we actually visualize the whole fundus and margins of the disc and all the blood vessels. This is normal retina where you can see optic disc and blood vessels. This is the retina of hypertensive fundus where we can see hard exudates, flame shaped hemorrhages, and cotton wool spots. So how hypertensive retina looks like in real, we have a picture of that retina also ahead. So this is the real retina of an hypertensive patient where you can see blurred optic disc. So this is papilledema and hard exudates. Then this is diabetic retinopathy where we can see dot and blot hemorrhages, which are microaneurysms and hard exudates. Then after that there is a real picture of diabetic retina. That is very important to see because in exam you might get real pictures. This is the real picture of diabetic retina where you can see dots and blots and few hard exudates. Then after that there is another picture which is very important and it comes very commonly in the exam. It is a picture of angioid streak. These are certain streaks which are present in patients, and mnemonic to memorize these angioid streaks which are emerging from optic disc, you can see here in gray color, is PEPC. P for pseudoxanthoma elasticum, E for Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, then another P for Paget's disease, then S for sickle cell, and I for idiopathic regions. So this is also very common slide that can come in the exam. After angioid streak, we have retinitis pigmentosa, where we can see that retinitis is peripheral, and this retinitis is because of abnormality of rods, and it can be seen as black bony spicules, and the causes are mostly congenital, and prognosis is very poor. Usually patient loses vision, and this vision loss is painless. Then this is another slide which is showing papilledema where disc margins, they are blurred, we cannot appreciate them, and it's a common finding in raised intracranial pressure. So you must be familiar with papilledema. Then another finding that is of optic neuritis. Here there is atrophy of the optic cup, and the disc, it appears more pale as compared to usual. The common cause is ethane butol and multiple sclerosis.